All right. Hi, Pranjal. My name
Hey,
is
hi,
Yash
Yash.
Toshniwal. Yeah, my name is Yash Toshniwal, and I am working as a student assistant at the finance lab. And I'm currently in my third semester here at UT Dallas. I'm pursuing a master's in finance. I welcome you to this session of the Industry Speaker Series. For our students and all the other people who are watching this video, I'd like to introduce Pranjal. So today we have Pranjal Bhatt with us, who is currently working as an associate at Houlihan Lokey, and he's got tons of experience prior to this. He's an esteemed UT Dallas alumni, and we are glad to have him with us over here today. Pranjal, I welcome you on behalf of the entire Finance Lab team, and I thank you for taking out time for this session. Along with me, I've got Shraddha, who will go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi Pranjal, I'm Shraddha Yadav. I'm in the
Hi,
second
Shraddha.
semester of MS Finance, and I also am a student assistant at Finance Lab. And thank you so much for taking out your time from your busy day to speak with us here.
Yeah, so I want to thank you both for inviting me and also like Samia and the Finance Lab and Dr. Ma. Yeah, glad to have a chat with you today.
Thank you so much, Shraddha, and thank you so much, Pranjal. So let us begin with the session. So we'll ask you a series of questions, and you can give us your insights and inputs about those questions so that this is helpful for all our students and people who are watching. So let us start with the questions. So my first question to you is like having transitioned from corporate banking in India to a valuation role in the US and now into strategic financial modeling. Like, what were some key challenges and surprises that you encountered, and how did you adapt to all of those?
Yeah, it's a very good question, yes. So I had worked back in India for 4 years into corporate banking, and then I came to US for my master's in finance, and I did a internship at Ernst& Young and then at ValueScope as a business valuation guy, and then started my job as a strategic financial modeling. So yeah, there were some challenges that I faced once I started this job because it was very different from what I did back in India as a corporate banker. So in terms of challenges, I would say one was basically the kind of technical knowledge that was required in my current job vis-a-vis what I was doing back in India. So corporate banking, I was more focused on basically providing loans to my customers. Like these were all corporate customers, like big ticket size customers. So one of the technical skills that I used there was primarily credit analysis and going through their
Mm,
financials and seeing like what is the credit that we can give to them, or depending on the project, whether the project is feasible to give that much amount of loan. Here in my current role as a financial modeling guy, it is totally different. So basically, we are making financial models like bespoke financial models for clients, and this requires a different kind of like technical knowledge. You have to be very good at Excel.
mhm,
So even now, like with so much modernization and new tools coming up in finance, people like seeing their results in Excel and seeing their models in Excel. So that was one challenge that I faced, that I had to like learn Excel, like advanced Excel, but my job, like training and talking to my peers in my job, that helped me a lot, and I gained a lot of like technical skills from there, and they helped me a lot. Apart from that, I'll say like cultural fit in India, it was different, and working here in the US with like multiple people from multiple nationalities, it's a very different experience.
right.
So obviously, I would recommend like if you work in the US, like talk to as many people as you can from different nationalities, know about them, take them out for dinner and know them so that you can have a cultural fit, and when you're working in the office you have a cohesive environment and you know their culture well, so that you can
Right.
gel up easily. So that is how I kind of navigated the challenges. And in terms of valuation, I would say when I was doing my valuation internship, my course from UTD, like I had taken a couple of courses, I would say financial modeling and valuation, which is a core course, and private equity finance, that helped me a lot in navigating the technical challenges of valuation that I was mentioning you about. So I would say that it is a combination of my education at UTD and then talking to people in my current job, and also like nurturing relationships that has helped
Hmm.
me to navigate this job better. Yep.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's great to hear. It's obvious that you should network more and you should speak as much as you can with mm, as many individuals as you can so that you gain knowledge from each and every one of them. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So my next question to you is like in your experience as a business valuation and associate at ValueScope, I mean, I feel that you likely required a lot of analytical skills. So, what are some valuation techniques or methodologies that you frequently used over there, and how did they prepare you for the current role that you're working in?
Yeah, again, a very good question. So I had a couple of internships in as a business valuation guy. One was in Ernst and Young. It was a 2-month internship during summer of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, it was my first experience with valuations. Prior to that, I had just done a class at UTD, like the financial modeling and valuation class, which gives you an insight into the various valuation techniques. But yes, during my time at Ernst and Young and also my 9-month stint at ValueScope, I think I got like exposure to great valuation models. And I would say the techniques that are primarily used in the industry are obviously the income approach, which is your discounted cash flow analysis, and then your guideline public company method and guideline transaction method, those approaches in which basically you're seeing what are the trading multiples of the same industry, similar type of companies in the market, and recent transactions which has happened in the similar industry, similar type of companies. So those are some of the techniques that are used, and I'm thankful to the UTD course, the way it is structured. You get a good understanding of these techniques while you are in college, and I'm sure that you have case studies in those classes that kind of prepare you to talk this language while you are on the job. So that helped me a lot. Apart from that, there are some additional advanced valuation techniques that are used depending on the asset you are valuing or depending on the project that you are doing. For example, there is a 409 evaluation which is done for like valuing an equity whenever a company is issuing a stock, and it's a regulatory requirement. So those are the things that you learn on the job, and depending on the project and depending on your like on your interest on what you want to do. But yeah, these are some of the techniques that I would like to mention over here that are kind of used in the valuation industry. And obviously it's a lot, like there are a lot of nuances around that, and like different assets, different industry are valued in different ways. But these are kind of the basics: DCF, your GPC method, the guideline public company method, and your guideline transaction method. And also, I would like to mention that you guys have like capital IQ in the finance lab, and that is used to kind of pull a lot of uh, market data and like comparable data. So that is one good skill that you can pick while you are in college, like learning how to screen for companies, comparable companies, or how to screen for like beta or different kind of aspects that are used in valuation.
Right, right. I understand. And I think that as you told that, the UT Dallas curriculum, the MS Finance curriculum covers all of these concepts very much in detail. And I mean, definitely agree with you on that point because, you and I have got to learn a lot about all the concepts that you are talking. So, yeah. Okay. So, my next question to you is like, coming from an engineering background, do you find like, unique ways in which you can use that knowledge to complement your work in finance? And like, what made you exactly shift from engineering to finance? Because even I am someone who has, shifted from engineering to finance. So I find this very relatable.
Yeah, so basically my undergraduate is in like agricultural engineering, and I did like 4 years of engineering as an undergraduate student. But I would say like engineering for me, it kind of opened a lot of like segues for me. One is like uh, in terms of like learning analytical skills, I did had a lot of like analytical courses during my engineering program. I had like probability, statistics, multiple courses on them. So trying to understand how to look at various data in a simplified way. I had like a lot of engineering courses which kind of helped me in improving my analytical skills, and that kind of helps me now in my job as a financial modeler, because whenever I have to make a financial model, I have to like understand the problem statement and then piece by piece try to like solve that problem for the client. Apart from that, I would say that like sometimes I have got like projects which are relevant to the engineering stream that I'd studied back in college. So I got like very interesting projects around like water resources and also like civil engineering. And so since my managers know that I've kind of pursued that field of engineering, it's easier for them to pull me on that project, and I can like easily relate to the various technologies or the business model of that particular company. So that's kind of helpful. Like if you have studied something, say you have studied like software engineering, it will be easy for you to like understand a business model of a software company. At least you know how the technology works and all of that. So that always helps on the job, I would say. So yeah, I think engineering for me, the best thing is it also like helped me in understanding the importance of relationship, because that was the first time when I went out of my home and lived in a hostel with my friends. So those relationships like have been pretty helpful overall in my life. And yeah, that thing is very important to me, like camaraderie and building relationships wherever you work, whether you are studying in college or whether you're working a job. You need a team to like uh, achieve those goals or make that project successful. So that is another aspect that I learned from my engineering program back in India that I really like value in my life. Yes.
That's great, great to hear that. I mean, I can relate very well to whatever you just said. So that's great to hear. So another question of mine to you is like, how have your education, I mean, how has your education at, these top institutions shaped your approach towards, solving complex financial problems? Like, are there any specific courses or experience that you found helpful, or I mean, how did that exactly happen?
Yeah, so I would like to quote like some experience from UT Dallas as well. So I took this private equity finance course with Dr. Von Drethen, and I would say like the kind of cases he has and the approach, the way that he teaches that class, it has been very helpful to me in my job. So there's a case study in every class, and you kind of have you everyone has to individually prepare the solution for that case study, as well as prepare the financial model and a maybe 2-page presentation. And then the professor just, when he starts the class, he'll just cold call any one of you, and you have to present the case to the entire class. So it's just like you are presenting to your client. So that kind of helped me a lot. So like I would say that yeah, a good education, it's very helpful in like making a good career. And going to good institutions, it really helped my career, it boosted my career, and also boosted my network, like my network from India and also from UT Dallas. There are people working in different companies, and you can always reach out to them, ask questions about their jobs, or if you are stuck into some problem related to their industry, you can just have a contact and reach out to them. So that also kind of helped me, like going to good institutions. That is how it has kind of shaped my career. Yeah, and apart from that, some courses I would say definitely like that kind of impact my job currently. Uh, I would say it's financial modeling and valuation. That's really like helped me a lot in my career. And I still, as a financial modeler, there have been situations wherein the client wants a valuation model, and we use all those concepts. Apart from that, I say the business communication course, I think that I did back in India, that's really helpful in terms of like managing client communication, like written communication, as well as if you're calling a client, managing their expectations. Like that course has been very helpful in my current job. Yeah, overall, I think all the institutions that I went to, I got to learn a lot, and also in terms of network, I was able to like find really great people that inspired me and still inspire me, the kind of things they do, and that really helps me to like kind of put extra efforts in my personal goals as well as my professional goals. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for such an insightful answer.
Uh,
So,
oh,
yeah,
I'm
so
so
now
sorry.
Shraddha will take over and she'll continue with the
Yeah,
questions.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I see that you have certifications in SQL, Python, and R, and with this new age of AI, and where these languages or even coding has become a better part of every industry. How do you envision these technical skills? Like, how do these skills enhance your work, particularly in tasks such as financial modeling, data analysis, and also risk assessment?
Yeah, it's a great question. And yeah, obviously, I did all those certifications while I was at UTD. I would say like, yeah, those certifications have helped me again in building my analytical skills. I don't use a lot of those things on my job directly. Most of my work is on Excel, but yeah, I do some coding on VBA, like writing macros. So I would say if you're learning a language, say R or say Python, uh, so there are two things that are important according to me. One is like understanding the concepts. Like you should understand how basically what is a mean, what is mode, what is variance, those kind of things, like the statistical part of it, which you are taught in like mathematical methods of finance at college. Like those things are very important because those are kind of the base of any basically language. Language is what? It's just like a script. It's different syntax that they are using in different languages. So one is that is important. Second is, yeah, of course you should at least learn one statistical language, maybe say R or Python, and also one data visualization tool. That is very important. Like I use a lot of Tableau in my current role to present dashboards to the client. That is one thing that I would like highly recommend to anyone more in our industry, in our kind of jobs. That is highly recommended because a lot of times if you're advising the client, they would like to see like the results in certain form, and it's very easy if you can create a storyboard or tell them through those beautiful dashboards, so they like it a lot. So I would highly recommend, more than like R or Python, I would recommend people focusing their time on Tableau and Power BI. Again, on the languages, I would say it also depends on the kind of role you are doing. Like if you are in, say, if you are in a risk management role, as you said, you are managing market risk and you have a lot of data and you have to scrub through that data, then Python and R kind of becomes essential because one is you can easily compute a lot of data vis-a-vis compared to Excel. For example, in our jobs also, like in the valuation industry, a lot of times you have to run Monte Carlo simulations, although you can run them on Excel, but again, like Python would take like 2 minutes, vis-a-vis Excel might take 6 hours to run the same amount of data. And the number of simulations that you can do on Python are much higher than what you can do on Excel. So that way, like these tools are really helpful. But again, I would say more than that, it's the basics of how these things work, like the statistics behind it. If you are, you should know how to like clean the data, you should know how to present the data, you should know how to interpret data, what are the various things you have to look at the data. I think those things are more important rather than learning multiple languages, because at the end of the day, language you can just like practice and learn it, but the basic concepts is something that you will have to build your foundation on. Yeah, so that's my view on that.
Also, since you have highlighted the need or even how important it is in the industry to learn these languages, how would you advise students to integrate these skills into their career preparation?
Yeah, so there are 2 3 ways, right? One is like there are courses available on campus. I remember there were some business analytic courses which like taught you maybe Tableau, R or Python. So if you are like looking for a job that has a mandatory requirement of those languages, then definitely I would recommend taking, like investing some of your credits in those courses. Other than that, there are like platforms available on LinkedIn, and there was another one, I forgot the name of it. Like I think we were recommended that by Dr. Lipingma, with in which you
Data
can, yeah, that's DataCam, and that was really helpful. Like it's very easy to learn on that, and then once you have some basic knowledge, you can do a project using that, maybe a project in your class. So I think those are the ways in which you can build your skills. Like practicing is the best way. And then also, like as I said, like each individual has a different skill. So talking to people who have already done that, talking to people who are from those background, like getting some information from them that how they would approach learning those things is highly recommended. Like that gives you a head start because they'll tell you the right way of doing it, and talking to professors obviously. So that is what I would recommend to someone who is like trying to learn something new. Try to meet people who have already done that and just get to know the pros and cons and then start from there. Yep.
Yeah, that was really insightful actually, because right now everyone wants to do all this, but they don't know where to start, and this would give them an insight where to begin. Also,
Yeah.
we see that
Yeah, just
you
one
have.
point I want to add.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
just one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my time at UTD, like again, yeah, a lot of people were worried about like learning all the languages. But yeah, you have to figure out that what are the jobs you are targeting and whether that skill is relevant at the current moment. Because there are so many priorities that you will have, like in terms of searching for a job or preparing for a career. So you'll have to like make your priorities, what are your top priorities, and accordingly kind of attack those goals. Yeah, it's very difficult in a 2 year period to learn all those languages, I would say. So yeah, that's another comment from me.
Okay, so as furthermore, we also see that you have done certifications in securities such as Series 79, 63, and SI. And we see this frequently when we are applying for internships and for jobs too. So, how could you share how this regulatory knowledge applies to your day-to-day work, and especially when dealing with clients and financial transactions?
Yeah, so in my case, since I'm working for Houlihan Lokey, and Houlihan Lokey, we are a investment bank. It's a regulatory requirement. So anyone working at Houlihan Lokey who is doing like finance type of roles, they need to have these three licenses: the SIE, which is the basic one, Series 79, which is basically investment banking license, and then Series 63, which is it's like state regulations, uniform securities laws. Yeah, so these are the three licenses that are mandatory for anyone like working for an investment banking company or an investment banking role. I would say while on campus, definitely if you guys have time, you guys should look at the SIE, which is the basic that is required. And I would say it will give some edge on your CV. Like there would be roles, financial advisory roles, or say investment banking roles that will have those requirements. And once the recruiter sees, or the AI tools that screen for your resume see that you have done that certification, I think there will be a high probability as compared to someone who has not done that certification. So definitely recommended, and it will also help you in like brushing some of the concepts on finance and how financial securities operate in the US. Like definitely the rules can be different from what they were in India. So yeah, it gives you a brief idea about what happens in the US in terms of securities, what are the laws, what are the restrictions. And yeah, so I would definitely recommend, if you have time, you guys should look into that particular SIE license. Yeah, I think the website also has some material available in terms of what are the various topics involved, and most of those topics I would say are also covered in our MSF program, at least the calculation topics and the numerical topics. Yeah.
Oh, so would you say that this license makes students stand out from the rest of the crowd?
uh Again, it depends on what kind of job you are applying. So I would say if you have like the basic, so if there are two candidates, like one candidate, both the candidates have the same skills that are required for that job, and then the second candidate has a SIE license, yeah, and the job requires that license, it will definitely make him stand out. But again, it depends on what kind of jobs you are applying. If you're applying for a financial analyst in say Amazon or in say American Airlines, then I don't think you should do that license. Rather, you should focus on like developing your data presentation skills, like working on Tableau or Power BI. But if you are applying in an investment banking role, or say in a company like Houlihan Lokey, or say another investment bank, then I would definitely recommend focusing on this license, the SIE license. But again, like once you are selected for a job, once you get a job, you get some time to kind of knock off these licenses. So I would say like rather focus on building another skill which would help you in applying to multiple jobs rather than just doing SIE, and that will only help you in maybe investment banking jobs or financial advisory jobs. So it all depends on the situation. But yeah, if you have time, definitely knock that up. It will help you to stand out among the crowd. Yeah.
Pranjal, I have just one last question. So you are working at Houlihan Lokey, and what kind of skill set do you look for in an individual who wants to break into investment banking? So there are many students who are pursuing MS Finance to get into investment banking. What would be a suggestion for them?
Yeah, this is a very good question. And yeah, I think there are some like basic requirements that anyone who wants to hire an investment banking analyst would need. You should understand the financial statements in detail. For example, you should know the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow, and how, if something changes on the cash flow, how that will impact your income statement, how that will impact your P&L. So that level of knowledge should be there. There will be situations when like you'll be adding capex, and how that will impact your income statement, or how that will impact your how that will impact your cash flow and balance sheet. That kind of knowledge, the technical knowledge, that is kind of a basic requirement that is expected from any like graduate or undergraduate applying to the investment banking job. Apart from that, obviously, like valuations is a major part. Basic knowledge of valuations, like how does a DCF work, what is a WAC, what is a guideline public company method, what's a guideline transaction method, what happens to the WAC if you increase the leverage. Those kind of concepts should be clear. Third, I would say someone who wants to get into investment banking, they should align themselves to a particular industry. So investment banking, like most of the companies, they have industry aligned groups. They have, say, for example, they have a healthcare group or they have a power and utility group. So if you are looking to get investment banking jobs, looking to get into those, just try to read about those industries, like what are the top companies, what's happening in those industries, what are the various transactions that happened in those industries that are notable, what's happened. So yeah, just try to follow those industries, just try to see what are the main business drivers of those industries and how the economy is going, how the Fed rate cuts and everything is impacting that industry. So if you have those knowledge, then you have a lot of talking points in the interview. Yeah. Apart from that, I would say uh, just getting your basics right. The three statement is like a lot of students flunk on that. They do all the hard work and the basic three statements, they flunk on questions around that. So yeah, that's a big no in the investment banking industry. Yeah, you should be very particular about the three statement financial models. And yeah, additional skill that I think would help you in your investment banking jobs would be modeling. So for example, you guys do that financial modeling and valuation class or the private equity class. Just try to build models for all your cases and try to show them to the professor and get their feedback, or try to show them to someone who is working in the industry. Yeah, so I can tell you like the kind of models I made at UT Dallas, and currently that's my day-to-day job. It's very different. Yeah, the professional models, they are very well structured. Like they have separate input sheets, they have separate calculation engine which you should not touch in an ideal state, and then the outputs. So it's very structured. Yeah, but yeah, getting that information while you are in college is only possible if you'll reach out to your professor or if you'll reach out to someone who's already working in that industry. So yeah. So in terms of like if you are looking for an investment banking job, you're getting your basic finance skills right, and then learning about the industry that you want to work in. Yeah, that would be my advice on that.
Thank you so much, Pranjal, for taking out some time for us from your day. And this is where we are ending this session. But thank you for your insightful suggestions. And even the conversation was really insightful because this will really help our students, your advice and also your experience.
Yeah, thank you, Yash, and thank you, Shraddha. Thank you for having me, and it was wonderful talking to you guys.
Yes, you too.